This is CleanTechTV, and my name is Giles Parkinson. Joining us today is Chuck McDermott, the general partner of Boston-based venture capital firm Rockport Partners. Welcome to CleanTechTV, Chuck.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for joining us. Can we just start by giving us a brief description of Rockport Capital, and what is your message going to be to the CleanTech conference when you speak next week?
Rockport Capital was formed in 2000, calendar year 2000. Over that period of time, we've raised three funds. We manage about $850 million US, all of which is directed exclusively at clean tech investments. We've backed 40 some odd companies over that 10-year period. And I'm hoping to share some of the experiences that we've had in a decade of clean tech investing with the community that'll be assembled there in Melbourne.
There is a bit of a prevailing view, and I guess it comes from the mainstream investment industry, that clean tech looks like a bubble or a series of unsustainable investment bubbles driven by government policy and overexcited investors. Do you buy that view, or do you think that there's something more profound going on here?
I definitely think there's something more profound going on here. That being said, we've experienced some mini bubbles. There was, let's say, a biofuels bubble here in the United States at a certain period of time. But we're dealing with issues that are so fundamental to the 6.8 billion people on the planet that I'm convinced that these are problems that we're going to be working on for my entire professional lifetime. So we don't expect this to go away anytime soon.
The US government has said repeatedly, and it was one of the major themes in Copenhagen, that they fear that the next Silicon Valley in green tech or clean tech, if you like, could emerge in India or China or Brazil or elsewhere. Do you share their concerns?
I think the advantage that the US has had over the last, let's call it 20 years of venture capital investing broadly defined, is that we have been a center for innovation. And the innovation has tended to come out of our academic institutions and things like that. Those remain strong here in the U.S. That being said, and we have a culture of entrepreneurism that celebrates and encourages certain types of business risk taking, which not every culture has. So we have those advantages. That being said, it's a very competitive global marketplace. Our colleges and universities are populated by young people from all over the world now, from China, from India, from the Middle East, from everywhere. They're getting an education here. They're going home. They're bringing a lot of that technical expertise with them. The other thing that is definitely happening is the emerging countries are becoming the markets for clean technologies. Not just a place that you can access for low-cost manufacturing capacity or low-wage work to be done. These are now the markets in which solar panels and windmills and all of these types of things are finding a home. So that can be good for us here in the United States or Australia or elsewhere, as long as we're still innovating and providing the next generation of technology to those markets.
There has, of course, been a lot of money invested in new technologies and new ideas. How are companies managing that transformation from startup to commercial enterprise? You know, the so-called valley of death, as some people describe it.
That is the difficult and magical thing about what we do. It's very hard to turn an idea into a profitable company. But there are several things at play, I think, in the clean tech sector that are worth noting. Number one of the things that really helps is the establishment of meaningful standards. So, for instance, building code and building standards. If it requires a certain level of efficiency and the lighting technology that goes in, or the heating, ventilating, and air conditioning systems that need to be used, that's going to create a pull for next generation type projects. Where we've seen meaningful government incentives to help industries begin, like we've seen in solar and wind, not just in the U.S., but in other parts of the world, that helps companies traverse the valley of death. Those shouldn't last forever. And I think we can foresee a time, for instance, in solar, where we achieve what people refer to as grid parity. So electrons at the plug priced the same as electrons bought from the grid. We think we see that that coming in the next 5, 6, 7 years or something like that. So those types of things help. And once again, scale helps as these industries get sufficient market penetration. So you're selling millions of units of something that helps bring the cost down. And it's really about cost and performance.
And what could the role of big companies and big corporates be in Cleantech investments and helping to bridge that valley of death?
I think that's one of the sleeping giants in the Cleantech story, in that we have seen the behavior of certain big companies drastically change the commercialization opportunities for some of our portfolio companies. For instance, Walmart, which has a huge global footprint. When they make a commitment to, let's say, compact fluorescent lighting or natural and biodegradable insecticide products or something like that, they can move the needle. And they also are able to have such influence on their own supply chain that when they say to Coca-Cola Corporation or other big companies, reduce your packaging by 30%, those companies figure out a way to do it. And in figuring out a way to use less packaging or less water or less energy, they're turning to new wave technologies like the ones that firms like ours back.
What do you think might be the next big thing? Is it solar? Is it the electric vehicle? Is it energy efficiency or something completely different?
Solar's been around for 25 years, but it's such a small percentage of the power generation mix that we believe there's still tremendous opportunity for solar to grow. Although it being 25 years old, it's hard to think of it as the new thing. We do believe we're seeing a transformation in the transportation industry, that cars will be increasingly electrified. All electric vehicles aren't perfect for every application, but we think that you're going to see electric vehicles for commuter purposes. Hybrid electrics certainly are going to have a bigger market share. There's tremendous opportunity in the built environment, in green buildings, the products that go inside buildings that can make them greener. Even just the way we consider designing, fabricating, and erecting buildings, we think is going to go through a real transformation. And that's going to drive a lot of innovation as well.
And do you have any investments in Australia at all?
We do not, but I'm looking forward to the day when we do.
Jack, thank you very much for joining us today on CleanTechTV.
You're very welcome. My pleasure.